Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with CalcioFCen / Primo Calcio. I am Michael. Anthony could not make it today. I am joined here by Marcus. Hello, Marcus. How you doing?
Hello, everyone. How are you all today? How are you today?
All right, I'm doing all right. A little bit about you. You're a Juve guy, right?
Yeah, Juventino, yeah,
Yeah.
big.
When did you start watching Juve?
Well, look, we're in Australia. It's hard to watch the game, so I only really started after we won the Euros. I was always a UF fan, always kept in touch, but I only started watching the games back
Gotcha,
then,
gotcha.
week in, week out.
Yep. What in general? I mean, we'll get into this, once we get into the game. But in general, what have you been thinking about the Juve team, the Juve season? Where you kind of sitting with that since you're a Juve guy?
I think that people tend to overreact. It's not at the same height as we were 5, 10 years ago. We need a little bit of work, but it's not as bad as people make it seem.
Gotcha.
We need some changes,
All right,
but
so we're
nothing
gonna
that's
have
too.
a different opinion. This will be fun. This will be an entirely different opinion from Ant, who me and him like both like despise our current teams. So it just sounds like you're a lot more positive about it. So this will be good to get a little different take. Alrighty, let's get into the some of the games here. We're not going to cover everything, but we'll cover the battle for Europe. We'll cover the Scudetto race, especially because there were some shifts here that kind of happened. So we will get started. First off, you guys can kind of see go through the games, but let's start with the European places. I'm just going to briefly go over Como with an essay 0-0 draw, not really much there, but that was a big draw because Como is really battling for fourth place, and as we'll go over very soon, left some room for the other teams, namely Juve, Roma, and an outside shot for Atalanta. So, what do you think about Como this season?
I like them. They're a fun team. They're enjoyable to watch. But I think a game like today just shows their experience. You go up against Udinese. You're away from home. It's difficult. It's not easy to play there, but you should be picking up all 3 points fairly comfortably if you want to push those European spots. But
I
they have a
agree.
good project in mind.
Yeah,
Look, they're not playing the Italians, which isn't isn't something I don't like. But they're playing young kids, and that's a start.
yeah. I
They're a
mean,
controversial.
no, they're definitely a controversial team. You're right. They have a good system, right? Fabregas has been so far quite a good coach. They got a lot of money backing them, but the curious thing is they're not spending a ton of money. Like they're actually building. My biggest issue and Ant's biggest issue is to me, people think it's great for the Italian game. I think it's bad for the Italian game because they're basically just playing Spanish style football with Spaniards and other players, just disregarding the Italian system. So there's a reason why the Nazionale sucks, and not saying Como's largely due to that. They're just a microcosm of a macro thing, but they are very interesting. I think if they start incorporating some Italians now that they're doing a little better, and just buy the good ones, you never know. Como could be quite interesting, but
Yeah, I want to see what they do this. I
yeah,
want to see what they do this summer with because Paz will probably is gone. There's no way
yeah,
everyone's just
Paz
going
is
to buy
gone.
him. If not, Perone in the midfield, he'll probably leave. So I want to see how they replace the players that they will, because they'll lose a fair few players. I want to see how they replace them.
Yeah,
Obviously, they have the financial. They're not going to be. They're not going to run out of money to do so. But I want to see how they do it. It'll be an
yeah.
interesting watch.
I think that this summer is going to be very, very telling for Como, right? It's going to be, will they take the next step? Will they actually buy? Because in my opinion, if they can convince some big names to come in and really kind of give some clout to their project, start building from within, build a little bit of more of an Italian core, but also like just progress to the next level, then they could truly be a long term threat. So
Yeah,
if they do it right,
they definitely need
they
the
could build
experience.
something. Yeah,
Yeah, I think someone like Lorenzo Pellegrini, he'll probably be a free agent this summer. He's not the best player technically, but he's the experience you need if you want to do well in Serie A. He's
yeah.
more of an he starts from Italian core. He's a little bit older, yes, but you'll probably end up paying less for him.
Yeah,
And Roma
that's a
will go for him.
very good shout. He's definitely going to be on the market for a lot of teams this season, but Como might just be one of the more realistic destinations. I know, probably won't go there, but Bernardo Silva is going to be a free agent. I bet you he'll go to a more prestigious team, but you never know what the right amount of cash tossed at him. He may do that, so it's an outside
Yeah,
chance, but that would give him a lot of experience, a lot of clout. You bring in guys like Pellegrini and Bernardo Silva, they do kind of play that more like slick style ball that Como likes. It's a possibility. So,
yeah. And Cesc Fabregas is someone who could get the best out of a player like that. We're seeing it
yep,
with Paz this season. If I was
yep.
him, I don't know if I'd be ready 100% to go back to Real Madrid right now. Are you gonna play the best there? You're probably gonna be on the bench most of the time. I'm only
You
thinking ahead of Arda Güler. I think
talking
he's a
talking
better
about
player, but you
Paz?
don't know the system. Yeah, Paz. I don't know. Maybe he wants to stay one more year, which could happen because it's doable, but it's not. I don't know what will really
What's
happen
his
there.
clause
He
though?
could end up
Because
in
they
Inter.
only have like a few summers to like redeem him back, right? I forget what his clause is.
It's this year or next year. It's a 9 million euro buyback
Okay, so
clause.
they still have next year
Even
then.
if it's
Yeah.
some sort of, even if they have to do it this year and they send him back on loan, could be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no matter what, they might buy him back just to make sure that they were claim him for cheap and then loan him again. It's possible, but all right.
Or even
So,
though just sell him because obviously Inter's been surrounding him for however how long.
hmm
I can't see happening, especially with their finances, but you never know.
yeah, it will be unique. Paz is by far their best player. A player I would love to see on my team for sure. I think almost everybody would take Paz. He's a very unique player in my opinion because he's kind of like an old school player. He can play that kind of classic trequartista role, which you don't really see too much anymore. So I would love to see him on my team. But
Yeah, football's also number 10s, which hurt.
hmm
They're the best players to watch.
oh yeah. All right, so let's move on to one of their kind of outside competitions here is Atalanta. So Atalanta versus Lecce. So I'll go to this here and we'll move to the next tab. So Atalanta Lecce. Atalanta's been on a pretty decent streak. I really like what Atalanta's doing because for me I'm very Italian centric. They didn't play the most Italian lineup, but they have a lot on their team. A lot of young guys. Scalvini's back. Scalvini gets a goal. They picked up Raspadori in the winter mercato. Also gets a goal. They have some good talents like Bernasconi, Carnesecchi. So a lot of good players here, and they definitely took it to Lecce. So 3-0. Atalanta's moving up. They're not maybe quite there, but they've been on pretty decent form, and I really like Palladino. So a lot for me to
Yeah, I
like
like
about Atalanta. What
where
about
they're going.
yourself?
I was going to say the same. I like the way they're going. I think Palladino will be a good long-term coach for them. He's Italian. He'll bring the Italian younger players in. They will lose some names as they have done in the past.
Yeah,
Edison, probably their best player, is
yeah,
probably going
he's
to leave
gone.
this summer.
Yep.
Yeah, he's definitely gone. They'll probably lose Karnaseki as well.
Yeah, I
It's
think
just how
who was he rumored with again?
Juve's been linked. There's been a few top European teams, but they've died down recently.
Yeah,
Look, it's not impossible to see him staying. We know they only like to sell one big name at a time. They sold Lookman in January. They sold Rotegi last summer. They like doing it. They like doing it gradually so they can keep a core group together, which is good for them. They they can definitely challenge for a European place for the rest of the season. They're not far off in the table. It's doable. They got Roma in a couple of weeks. Roma's being poor form, which we'll get into later in the week, and if they get 3 points there, just your way, it's very doable. You get a Europa League spot, depending on how the Coppa Italia goes, how the league table shapes up. It'll be interesting to see.
yeah.
I do like
No,
this. They're enjoyable to watch.
very enjoyable. I mean, they were under gas, but they are under Palladino. I really like what he's building there. They got a lot of good players. We got Ahanor there as well. They should have a lot of good talented guys. Bellanova still is a guy who I like, who I think will be kind of up for grabs for some teams to look at as far as signing him because he's not getting as many minutes as you would expect there. So it may be somebody who you can snag. I would love for Milan to bring him back since he's from there anyways, and we could use a right wing back. But
Yeah, he's been linked. I've seen those rumors. I can
mhm.
see it happening. It's a deal that
Yeah.
would happen, but they seem a bit anti-Italian now, so
Oh,
might make it a bit
MAGA.
hard.
MAGA
Yeah,
anti-Italian. Yeah, they're like totally disrespectful of their history. It's crazy. I'll always complain about the deal with Calafiori. We could have signed him for 5 mil. Instead, we signed the I believe he's Argentinian Pellegrino. Probably not. Obviously has Italian descent, but we signed him instead for 5 mil, and then one of them is invisible, and the other one is now 50+ mil. So it's just
yeah.
how Milan is these days with the American owners. But for Atalanta, I mean, I would like Palladino to stay for a little bit, but I do also think that after staying maybe for one more year, if he does well again, he should probably make the jump to a team to build a project. I think he would have been perfect for either of our teams, Milan or Juve, to build a long term project. But we have to be willing to give him a growth year or two. If we just get on him to win right away, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I can see him making a move to Milan. But we don't know what's going to happen. We'll try and cover the Azzurri coach more later in the pod. But if Allegri makes a move in a few years' time, I can definitely see Palladino taking that job. You know?
Yeah.
Or even someone we won't touch on Sassuolo today, but Fabio Grosso's been really good as well for them.
Yeah,
He's playing
Gross
a
has
bit
been
more
good.
of a different style, but I think he's someone who could also make a move like Palladino did. But we've seen it between tried and fell before, where especially with Juventus and Thiago Motta, they bought him up. They didn't give it, and they gave him half a season.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
at the time, I think getting rid of him at the time was the right decision. But how we went with it after, we did it wrong. So maybe we should have given him until the end of the season, maybe not half season, and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, you don't bring in like a young coach and be like, hey, you just got to win right now. It's like if you brought them in with respecting their ideas and saying, hey, let's see what they can bring to the team. You got to kind of give them some time to implement and say, hey, maybe this year one is not going to be great, but if there's something to really build, maybe they can build a long term future. So I mean, that is the hard part about going to a bigger team is there's a lot of pressure to win day one. But I just think Palladino is somebody to keep a very strong eye on. He can play multiple formations. He plays a good brand of football, and he doesn't lack defensive solidity either. Like yes, like their teams attack well, but he is also defensively stout, which I like. And I don't know. I just think he's been a very good coach so far. So of course he's still got to grow, but definitely one to keep your eye on. So
Yeah,
let's move on to some of the big games here. Okay, Juve Genoa. Juve is kind of pushing for top four, especially with Como drawing. That's 2 points gained, 2-0. I'm assuming you saw this game.
yeah. I watched this game, in its entirety. It was a good performance from us. It reminded me of Juventus only had Allegri at the helm at the end of his last season. It wasn't our best. We weren't the best technically. We got our two goals early. The corner from Roma was a good set piece, and McKennie got his goal.
Yeah.
And then we let Genoa play. We didn't look to go. We'll score three. We'll score four. We said we'll set ourselves up here. I'm probably a bit happy fouling them, which I didn't like. But it was a good game. It's one of the best games I think we've played this season. To be honest.
Yeah, team looks solid overall. I mean, I thought that the goal for McKennie was a really good teamwork goal there for sure.
Yeah.
The Yildiz and Cambiaso built up very well to start that and kind of launch that play forward. So I like that a lot. I don't know. I mean, do you think it's going to be a big boon to kind of have Milik back because he's been out forever and he is an actual striker? So I mean, do you think that's going to help kind of Juve round out the season well? You think he's going to be a decent impact for you guys?
I think he'll have his impact off the bench. I can't see him starting any games. Well, Vlahovic just picked up another injury. He picked up in the warm-ups of the game. We don't know how long he's going to be out. It
He
could
did
hurt
another
us.
one. Jesus,
Yeah, he got it in warm-ups.
man, he can't even walk without
Someone
getting
who did
injured.
impress.
Holy crap!
I've been impressed a little bit. It's going to go against the general opinion, but Jonathan David's actually impressed me a little bit. He's not an. He's not a devout number nine. He's not someone who's going to back to goal. He's going to get the ball, give it back to you, and you'll play it up through him, and you give him one chance in the game, and he'll score that chance. But if we keep Vlahovic next season, which is looking likely, we play those two on a striker pair. I think they can work really well. Of course, Vlahovic he worked well in the past with Chiesa, who we should not name him because obviously what he's done for this country is terrible. But it works with the two of them because Chiesa could push out wide, get the ball deeper. That's what David does. I think in like the first 25 half an hour of the game, he run the most kilometers or something, which is more you expect out of a midfielder. But he's able to get himself across the pitch, get little link up plays, which something we've seen from him that has been positive. Especially because everyone's saying we should run and sell him in the summer. Something I
Yeah.
disagree with. I
No,
think we
I
should give
mean,
him another.
I think he's fine. I wouldn't. I don't think I would sell him because you guys got him for free, and Anthony talked about this a little bit with David. I don't think he's some remarkable player, but he's solid. He does a role. Yes, he has some misses. He's not the most composed player, but he does pop up in the right place at times. He's a decently smart player. He's a hard worker. I think you definitely keep him because at the very least he's a good bench option and he can start. Should he be starting for Juventus? Absolutely not. Like a Juventus that actually has real aspirations
No
should not
way.
be starting
He should
Jonathan
not be
David.
starting by himself.
But you could be subbing him on. I mean, I think it's fine, and he's free. I mean, I would get rid of some of the other guys who are taking up a lot out of cap, and you paid a lot for them first before, um, before getting in selling David. But I mean, no, I don't think he's
Look,
been awesome, but he can play a role.
his wage will obviously be the issue. I think he's on 6 million a year, which is the same as Yield is. That's the big issue of the deal. If
Yeah,
you can reduce him, keep him, and play him as a partnership, or even just off the bench when Vlahovic is injured, It's something like that. It would definitely work. Openda should be sold. I think he will be sold.
Yeah, yeah, he
I
should
can't
be.
see him staying. Even when if he's getting out like picked by Milik now, he doesn't have much of a chance.
So you would keep? Would you keep Vlahovic or would you sell him?
Yeah, if we can keep
Not
Vlahovic,
what you guys would do. What would you do?
what I would do is I would keep. I do want to keep him, but 12 million is too much. The
Yeah,
12 million he wants
exactly.
to. If you can keep him for 8, 7, 8, I would 100% keep him, but
Yeah,
we're not
he's
in a
got to take a
position to
salary
keep go.
reduction.
If we were fighting for the title this year, I would say maybe you can give him the 10 million because you're a team that's trying to win. We probably won't win the title this year. We won't win it this year. Next year, it's a bit iffy if we can. The year after that should be our window to go capitalise, especially when Yildiz is still young, McKennie's young, Bremer's getting into his prime, Cambiaso's still young, Locatelli will be a bit older by then, but he'll still be serviceable. I think that should be our window. We shouldn't be worried about this year, next year. It just our goal should be make Champions League and push to improve, especially with our young players, which we've failed to do at times with all the
Yeah,
younger
I think
players we've got.
the issue is that Juve over the past several years has really failed with their youth system. They had a remarkable youth squad, remarkable, and they just sold them all. There's all this mass acts. They just sold them all for nothing too, and now you're just buying these way overpriced players,
I know
and it's been hard to integrate them as players. They've actually done quite a good job of making Juve competitive based on where they were, but. I don't know. I think
what's
that
worse.
there's still a lot deeper problems at Juve that run just beyond lineup and personnel. I think a lot just goes all the way from the top, and it seems just kind of like Milan. I feel like the poison starts from the top and it kind of rots its way downward. So I think Juve's got a lot of stuff to fix, in my opinion.
Yeah, the poison goes by one name, and that's John Elkan. And I've said enough about him for
Mm-hmm.
privately to say I'm not a fan. Look, I understand he's works on behalf of the Agnelli family, but he's more interested in Ferrari. We know this is a fact. We when we bought in Motta, we needed a bunch of funds, and there's the money go 100 million on Hamilton. Not that he's been a horrific driver, but there's no way he's been worth 100 million. Not to get on Formula One. But
Okay.
saying is when you had to need that money to be competitive, and when we're forced to sell all our youth players, we sold. That's time we sold Mehramovic, Stule. I'm thinking off the top of my head. Baranchia, Ealing Jr. to bring in players for Motta, and now it's worse
Fagioli
now.
was gone. Right, so Fagioli, you sold Huijsen, massive selling there. It's ridiculous.
Now it's
Sold
worse.
Rovella, out gone. Like all those guys would play.
I'm
Crazy.
happy. I'm okay with Ravella being gone. What's worse is now we're trying to sign him back. We want to get Hoisted on loan, so he's not playing for Madrid. We want to sign Mehramovic this summer because the 50% selling
Nah,
clause. We had these
all those
players. We're going
kids
to
are
pay double
good.
for them.
Yeah, all those kids are good, and they know Juve. And the thing is that nobody on this team knows shit about Juve. Nobody knows crap about
Look at
Juve. Nobody actually cares besides probably Locatelli. But it's not like he grew up in the Juve system. Like he's only been there a couple of years now. It's like that's the issue. Juve has no Juve guys. They have nobody who just bleeds Juve. They didn't grow up there. They didn't grow up there with their buddies. They're all random dudes tossed together, and most of them probably see this as like a stepping stone to fairly get a better contract. And that's the crappy part. My team's dealing with the same thing. And if I were to rebuild Juve, I would make sure they start with people who know what the heck Juve is about, because that's what they've lost. And all they're just buying, it does feel like very mercenary style. That's my biggest issue with Juve. And this is coming from a Milan fan. I want to see a competitive Juve. A strong competitive Juve means a strong Serie A and means a strong Nazionale. It's no wonder that
yeah,
since Milan and Juve have been weak, the Nazionale has been weak. It's no wonder. So I don't know.
100%.
That's really what I want to see. Obviously, it's nice getting your take on it is very different. Mine is from a very Italo-centric. Our Primo Calcio brand is all about just Italy first. So, but it's cool getting your take on it because I think it's nice
Yeah,
that we have a little disagreement here. It's actually nice for me. So it's good. You think Juve is gonna make top four? I mean, gut call. Do you think they're gonna beat Como to it?
I think I think he can just do it. I think Como have a few rough games. And I think that being in the Coppa Italia still also hurt their chances. I think we just do it. I'm not sure who we're playing exactly. I'll check quickly. We don't have that many difficult games left
I can
where
check here for
we're
you.
not expected.
So next week Let's see. Como is going to be against Inter. That's going to be hard. Juve plays Atalanta, so they
Atalanta.
both have a tough game. After that, Como plays
Good luck.
Sassuolo, and Juve goes against Bologna. Still kind of tricky. Juve is going to be at home, and then Como will be away to Sassuolo. Then Como gets Genoa. Juve gets Milan. It's tough for Juve. Then Juve gets Verona, and Como gets Napoli. So a little alternate, one easy week, one tough week for each there. And then the last three games would be, let's see, Juve gets Lecce, Como gets Verona, both kind of easier games there. And then Juve gets Fiorentina, Como gets Parma. And the very last week of the season, Juve gets Torino, and Como gets Cremonese. Some may be thrown off by these relegation teams because, man, like they battle hard if they're at the bottom trying to just get a point. So there's a lot up for grabs still.
Look, if we can get through the next month and we can pick up 7 points, well, that's if we draw Atalanta, we beat Bologna, Milan, we beat the first two, we draw to Milan. If we can get 7 points out of that month,
Yeah.
you set yourself up well, because you should expect to win all the rest of those games. If
Yeah,
you can
yeah,
set yourself up
exactly.
like that, I think we can do it. I'm very
This will
hopeful.
be the month,
I'm
won't
very
it?
optimistic fan.
This will be the month, though, right? This will kind of tell all. The next like three to four games here will tell everything about where it's going to line up. I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, it could go down to the wire, but
It's
it's a very hard part of the season.
come at a good time. We have sort of turned our form around. Obviously, the Galatasaray game in the Champions League, that was tough.
Mm-hmm.
Then we drew to Roma. We've had 3 wins since and 1 draw to Sassuolo, which the game was an annoying game. Probably one we should have won. Look, I can't see us winning our next 3, but I can see us. We should win 2. It's just a club like Juventus. We should expect to win those 2 games. If we do it, different story because we've seen this season. There's 2 versions of Juventus. There's a really great version of Spalletti, and there's a really terrible version of Spalletti that can't score a goal to save their lives. It just depends how we come at the play and how hungry the players are.
Do you like the Juve for? Do you like the Juve formation? Do you like the personnel that has been selected by Spalletti? Do you think this is the way forward with what they ran today? Would you make any changes? What are your thoughts on that type of stuff?
There's one player I want gone, and it's Conte now. We've seen he's not a serviceable player for Juventus. We've seen it.
Yeah.
When you hear about his play, you think, oh, he's really good. But you actually watch him play. He beats players with his easy moves. He just uses his pace. His shooting is not good. His crossing is not good. He's not that skilled giving the ball off to others. I want to see Fabio Moretti play more, which is also in the Italian team for the Nazionale. I want him to play more, but we also seen he's played well. And it's not impossible. You can push McKinney out wide. You can play Moretti in the middle. Or you can drop Thuram to the bench for some games. You can bring Bolga in, who they're probably going to keep permanently, which I think is a good move because he has also been very strong for us. But I think you can Conte can play out this season, but this summer we need a permanent replacement.
I think he'd be a
So
better
we shift a little bit.
I think he'd be a better impact sub because he brings pace, right? Especially when guys are tired, he might be more lethal. And you could also run like a classic, Christmas tree back like in the Milan heyday there. You could run like the 4-3-2-1. You could put McKennie in the midfield. You could run Yildiz and Moretti as your kind of attacking mids who can drift wide if you want them to, but you could run that and then you put your lone striker up top. That's a possibility too. You could always put those guys on the field together, and then when you want to change shape later on, you can spread them out wide and have a winger attack later on in the game if you need Conte to come on. You could always do that type of stuff, formation-wise.
Yeah. I feel Conte could also work as a second striker. It sounds like I'm pushing Russ to play 3-5-2 every week. But he could work as a second striker. He's got the type of player. He has the pace to beat a man. And just make simple passes, pass back to Yildiz, pass back to Campiasso, playing David. They make the simple passes, and that's what he had to do for us. He will do that very well. But I think this summer they need a permanent replacement in. Whether that's you bring Bernardo Silva in, you change his shape up a little bit, or you look for a younger winger. I'm not sure yet.
Right.
I just want to see how it plays out because I don't think he's Juventus quality.
Where do you think Juventus's biggest weakness is right now? Like, if you were to pick one area, would it be striker, midfield, defense? Where do you think their biggest weakness is?
I think it's hard because everything is played. All our positions have been really good at times and really poor at times. But it's probably our goalkeeping. Emery and Di Gregorio aren't Juventus goalkeepers. Di Gregorio, I want to give him his props. He was good today. He's been good in the past, but his form hasn't been good enough for I can say. I want him. We can win a title with him in that's 38 games out of the season, and that's what we're trying to build here. Look, Konoseki is probably an unrealistic target. When if you got a big European team coming in, we won't be able to compete. Vicario, I like. Oh, cool. Tommy's been a bit iffy, but you got
Yeah,
to think, how's that team been playing? Elia Caprilli from Cagliari, I think I said his name right. He would also be a good addition.
Capriles
But then
good.
again,
Yeah,
you also run the risk, is he just the same level as Pirin de Gregorio and he's playing for a smaller team?
he
You
could
don't know
be.
yet. So I want,
I would say that that's not the biggest of issues for you guys. Really, I mean, I think that the midfield solidity of just running any two is really not there. I mean, Locos had a good performance. Turam is good, but neither of them can cover up for each other properly, and then you're leaving them exposed to Bremer Kelly. I think Lloyd Kelly is actively a bad player. I know he's had a couple of decent games, but it's usually when he's pushing forward. We've covered his stuff a lot, done a lot of like VOD reviews and whatnot. And man, he misses coverage so much. Almost every goal is from a mistake from him or from Kalulu, sometimes from Bremer. But I think that I would say that kind of defensive midfield to defense role is a huge weakness. Of course, striker it needs some work too, but that would be where I would focus if I was you. I think Pirin is actually one of the best backups in Serie A. He's a backup, but he can start. Di Gregorio is not an amazing keeper, but he's solid enough to play the role. I don't think that's going to make a difference unless you go with a true world class keeper to out compete him. Otherwise, you're probably just going to get a like for like. I would really focus on shoring up that defense and probably adding an extra body to that midfield. Loka Taram is going to be okay right now against weaker Serie A teams, but once you start going up against better points, you get in the Champions League. There's absolutely no way that's going to hold it down, especially when you got a guy like Kelly behind you. And when we saw that in their Champions League run, there's exactly the kind of neck or axis that got broken down was with those guys. So that's where I think they're going to need a lot of help. But we'll see who they get. Do you think Spalletti's going to stay next year?
yeah, I think it looks like he's going to say, which I like. And if we're going to, you are right. If you do so with this fullback, we probably do need another strong centre back to replace Kelly. Where at times, honestly, I think we've been better with three at the back when you play Guthrie as well, because one of them will push up and Locatelli will drop in or Kalulu will drop in,
Yeah.
and that's also worked for us. But it's also a little bit more inconsistent. So you got to pick your poison in a sense. You want to risk it with three at the back, and maybe you're a bit more open at times when you're attacking. Or you got to be more solid with four, but you give a little bit up
Yeah.
of your attacking firepower, and you got to be more boxing, especially against the low blocks. You got to create more yourself. I like how Sweety's versatile with those sort of things.
Yeah. He is pretty
I think
versatile. Yeah, he's not afraid to mix it up, which I like.
I think if do want to start competing come next season, and we're gonna need a brand of football. We're gonna need to figure out how we actually do want to play, and we need to have to build that into the summer signings.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what
You kind of need to choose like
big centre
what your
back.
main is going to be. But if you imagine, I mean Bremer is good at a certain thing. Right? He's physical. He's a pretty good marker, right? And he does his role. If you put a different, very strong defender next to him, like who's a little more, who's better at reading the game, more tactical, can cover balls in the air, that's a really great pairing. Like if you actually upgrade that Lloyd Kelly spot a lot, you could have a really good center back duo. So I think that's a very easy call to make is upgrading that spot. All right, so Juve is now in with a shot. Let's kind of get to our last few games here. This is more for it has some European implication because Roma played in one of them, but it's more about the Scudetto. Let's actually first, any final thoughts on the Juve game, or did we kind of cover it for you?
I think we've covered everything pretty much.
All right, let's roll on. So Inter made a massive statement. A lot of their players was, I mean, most of the Nazionale, the key guys besides like Tonali and Calafiori and Donnarumma were all Inter guys, and so there's not going to be a team that's going to feel it more than Inter for the failure of the Nazionale because they have a lot of the guys on the team. They formed the core. And then they're all back today. You did see that the return of a Cherby, which I think was good for Inter. Even though he's definitely past it, in my opinion, he still provides good balance, and they still, when he's on form, don't have a better option than a Cherby at that central role. They crushed Roma. I did see this whole game. It just shows how much they missed Lautaro and Thuram. They were on from minute one, and Martinez hate him if you want to. He's just a good player. He doesn't have excess skills. He's not super fast. He's there's no like one trait where you're like, oh man, this guy he's got amazing skills in this area. He just gets the job done. He's definitely their leader, and I think if he was around for a longer time and wasn't injured a lot for Inter, they wouldn't be anywhere in sight right now. So now that Thuram and Martinez are back and Çalhanoğlu, I do think that even though Napoli has a kind of outside shot at it, I think it's pretty much over if those guys stay healthy. It was a pretty rough game for Roma. Inter dominated them. Yeah, they got a couple pot shot goals, but did you see this game at all?
No, actually, I missed most of this game, but I think this game was a statement by Inter Milan to say we're wrapping up this league title here and now.
Yep.
That this is our title. You're
Yeah.
playing your best strength team against a team that's fighting for a top four finish, and you score 5 on them at home.
Yeah.
That's a statement game to show. Look, Milan, Napoli, you've come close, but you're not going to get near us.
Yeah.
But this
I
is our
mean,
title to lose, and we're not going to.
it was you're right. It's a big statement game from Inter, and I mean, and this could have been the game that changed it all. If Roma tied them or beat them, the race is wide open. There's still an outside chance here. There's a dark horse shot, I think, for Napoli now, and we'll cover that in a second. But yes, this was a big statement piece, and they got their 3 big players back: Martinez, Thuram, Çalhanoğlu. I mean, if you look at this lineup that we're posting right now, this is their strongest team. This is what they had during last year's Champions League run, minus Akanji, of course, because he wasn't there. But this is basically their team that made it that far in Champions League and that won the league. So this is the their best team, and they're back. So we'll see if they can stay healthy. I think it's personally wrapped up. Do you think it's wrapped up, or you think Inter's gonna falter a little more?
I think it's done. I can't see it slipping from here, which is
Yeah,
which is unfortunate because I don't want him to winning anything, but I think it's pretty much done.
they
You
have
go out, you win
bottled.
like that,
They
you play
have
your strongest team.
Yeah, they have bottled a lot of stuff. I mean, they bottled it to Napoli, right? Last year, I mean, they really did. Like Napoli was good. Napoli was excellent, but they bottled it to them for sure, right? They lost, everything. They were in the finals of everything, and they lost every single piece. And then for the Nazionale, their guys were some of the chief guys. They also bottled that. So the team really does have a lot of I probably some PTSD here from just getting close and losing. Do you think that is going to play any factor, or is it done? I think they're going to wrap this one up this year and not going to
I think
fail
it'll
this
affect
year.
them.
But yeah, you think the same
I
thing?
think I don't think anything will affect them because I think this is where Chivu has been brilliant in his role for Inter. He's not the best tactician. Maybe Inzaghi, maybe you can say he's better tactically. But Chivu is building a group of guys that are forgetting about the past and they're just ready. We'll play the next game. We got to win that game. If we and just go again, just keep on going to the next game. He's more of a motivator. He's trying to say, look, we forget what happened. We just got to play our next game, and
Yeah,
he can get his guys ready for that. He keeps them, and that's what has been their strength this season. Even when they lost to Bodo Glimt in the Champions, they turned around and they won the league game.
yeah. No,
It's not a
he's been
problem.
tight with the players for sure. He seems like he's been a good manager. I haven't seen too much drama with him there. Yeah, he seems like he's been a good manager. The
Maybe if
moment
you're deep in the
for
Champions League,
Go ahead, go ahead.
he's a problem. Maybe if they did make a deep Champions League run, maybe then he becomes a liability.
Hmm.
How could he manage his players fitness wise? How technically sound is he? But for what they've had to do now, which is just win your league games, play one game a week and win it for the back half of the season, that's what he's done well, and he'll hold that gap. And
Yeah.
Napoli are in Milan.
I think that's
If
actually
anything,
the biggest point. The difference from last year was they were in every competition and they could not manage it all, and just crumbled all around, lost everything. This year, they're out of everything besides Serie A. So there you go.
I can only see the gap getting bigger. I can see Napoli and Milan dropping a few points where they shouldn't. I can only see the gap getting bigger. I can't
Hmm.
really see it closing. Because Milan have had their chances to close it, and they failed to do so because they're a bit of an inconsistent team. We'll get on to this more, but I feel this has been a missed chance for them this
Yeah.
season, which is one they probably could have and should have won
Yep.
the
I agree.
title.
As far I guess I wasn't with the being out of everything. I don't really like Como Italia that much, so they technically are in that. I don't know. I think they play Como. Um, I think it's Como, Inter, Atalanta, and Lazio, but so they still play Como, but still, I mean, I think they're going to really prioritize Serie A over Coppa Italia. I think Coppa is going to be a bonus, but not having Champions League is going to be a big boon to them. Okay, so let's move on to the last two games, not in order, but or sorry, the last game here, the Napoli Milan game. So this was the one to see, could Milan keep pace or not? Because if you look at standings, Milan absolutely needed to win this to keep pace. Because if they won it, they're within 2 games of Inter. A tie moves them to within 3 games, which is obviously not good. And then a Napoli win also moves either team within 3 games. So, of course, what happened here, the 1-0 win, Politano comes on late and gets the goal, as he's done a lot. He sometimes just pops up with some random clutch goals, and he did it again. You see this game?
Yeah, I watched this whole entire game.
Yeah.
This was a game that Milan probably could have won
Mm-hmm.
in the first half at least.
Yeah.
Of course, you go to the Maradona. It's always a difficult place to play. If you watch that first half in isolation and you get told, okay, predict the second half, you probably say Milan won that game because they had more of the chances. Napoli really couldn't create anything going forward with Giovanni there instead of Hoyland. They didn't really know how to use him. But then in
Yeah,
the
they
second
weren't creating
half,
much threat, that's for sure.
Napoli came out. They were a different team. They were miles better in that second half. And Milan also let them be to a sense. We know Allegri does like to sit back more, but he let it happen too much. Fulkrug should have come off for Leao Pulisic sooner. Try and respark the game. Maybe bring on a more of attacking midfielder. But he didn't let it happen. And then it worked for half an hour. But eventually you can see that goal, and then it's doomsday. We've got 10 minutes to score. How are we going to do this? He should have noticed that within 5-10 minutes and then made a change instead of waited.
Yeah, I
Particularly,
mean,
they needed
it
3 points.
was a game of 2 halves. Yeah, first half, I mean, Milan was stronger, but they still weren't amazing. They weren't getting, they weren't getting awesome chances there, to be honest. But still, they looked a little bit better. The Fulkrug and Kunku starting to me is just a bad choice in general. I think Fulkrug can play a role. He should not be kept. He's just not good enough in general. In Kunku, I call him Mpupu. He should just not be here for 40 million. It's absolutely ridiculous amount to pay for a player who is about as invisible as you can be. So that's a ridiculous signing, and both of these players are taking time from Francesco Camarda, who had a bright youth career and got loaned off to a crappy team. Now he's brought back. Now he's injured, but I'll always ask, and they say, "Oh, he's not ready. He's not ready." What do these two guys offer you? They offer you nothing. There's no potential. They're not going to get better. They're wasting big salary. Even if Camarda does nothing, that's producing the same as these two guys produce, and he can grow. So I don't know. I'm definitely bitter about that, about all the striker stuff with which they replaced. I mean, you could have brought in Moise Keane about a year ago when he was going for nothing, for like I think 17 mil or something like that. You could have gotten Skamaka. Rotegi was offered for 12 mil, something to kind of bring back a little bit of Italianness to the team. Instead, they went with these guys and spent 40 mil on Nkunku, 35 on Sante Jimenez. Full Crew was just a stopgap sign. I don't really care about that one as much. And what do you have to show for it? It's like 70, 75 million on it for nothing. But anyway, strikers aside, Milan's midfield, I think, needs to be rotated. And Modric is doing what he can. He wasn't great today. But I do think that when you want to break down a team, Modric needs to be in a different role, and Ricci should be playing as the regista at the back of this three-man midfield, and you should have Rabiot and Modric in those kind of center mid free roles so Modric can move forward, create, and do what he does best. You don't need him playing D mid in a game like this. You should just plop Ricci there, who actually plays there. Instead, Allegri has not figured that out. So I think that's a big difference here. What do you think about the subs? I thought that the subs
Yeah,
definitely changed the game big time. What do you think about them?
look, they were the right move. They were the right moves for Milan, but too late. Look, the Kamada. We'll go back to your points a little bit. The Kamada topic is what it is. But at the end of the day, you got to remember, you were at the start of the season. You're thinking, oh, we can go win a title this year. Are you going to risk that on a 17-year-old, especially if you get injuries to? Especially this year, when you had
As
injuries to
as a third
Leao,
string, yeah, yeah.
Pulisic.
As a third string, yes, for sure. As a third string, I'm gonna do it. He's not supposed to be the main guy ever, but you can have Moise Keane starting, right? You can have another backup. You could have kept Giroud for another year, have Moise Keane, Giroud, and then you could have Camarda. That should have been the lineup 100%, and you got to buy one dude.
Yeah.
You spend
Midfield-wise,
nothing.
I don't know why Fofana's still starting. Modric and Rabiot, they're the pillars of this Milan team. They need to be there week in, week out.
Yep.
But when I don't think Fofana's had many great games this season.
No,
And
he's been bad.
you got two great young players on the bench in Richie and Josati
Yep.
that both want game time, and they're both stuck behind him and Modric and Rabiot. They're not going to get past Modric and Rabiot. So why don't you play him instead of Fofana?
Totally agree.
They should have been
Most Milan
tested.
fans will agree with you. It's just because of Allegri, and I mean, you this is I actually like Allegri, but and I know a lot of people hate him because of his style of football, but he is a winner. He has one fatal flaw. He just likes big, strong dudes, and Fofana, for some reason, he's not that strong of a dude either because he's lazy and doesn't put his body into it. So I don't get the fascination with him. That's all Allegri right there. He likes his players like that. He likes the big strong guys. I don't get it with Fofana because Fofana's been just bad. So yeah, I agree. I would swap him out immediately.
Allegri is a winning coach. He's a winner. He's someone I wanted to take the Azzurri over now, like a Gattuso's gone. That's a separate point. But look, I don't think he didn't. He played for a draw today. Where you're playing a Napoli team that's bruised, you got a lot of injured players, don't have a lot of depth rotation. You could have easily gone and got 3 points today. Even if you have to start Leo Pulic on the bench for fitness issues, but if you use them right, you can still get 3 points from that game, which I think is
Maybe. I
where
mean, you're still going to Napoli, and they got a lot of their players back. Lobotk's back. Anguissa's playing. De Bruyne is back. I mean, most of their players are finally back. Like Buongiorno's finally had about a half season under his belt, injury free. So they have most of their players back. Not all, but most now. And so it's a different beast. Yes, in the striker department, they don't have their guys, but the rest, their core of their team, the part that's tough to break down was there. So it was always going to be a tough ask, but yeah, the striker decision was not smart. Fulkrug and Kunku versus even if you're going to want to run one of them, like Fulkrug plus Leao or Fulkrug plus Pulisic, somebody who can actually move and who can do something and do smart. Yeah, would have made a difference for sure. I agree, but
yeah, that's why I think Milan were better in the first half, where Nkunku was dropping off more and he could receive the ball more, which when they look better in attack. And then the second half that stopped happening, and then you stopped attacking, and then the game results end up how it is.
yeah,
But I want to talk more Napoli quickly. Someone I was really impressed by today. It's no surprise he's a very experienced player. It was Leonardo Spinazzola. I thought he was really good today
was
on the
just
left
gonna bring
panel.
him up. Yeah, I was just gonna bring him up. Spina's awesome, man,
Especially
and he's always been good for Napoli. He can play both sides. He's just an awesome player. He's got a lot of skills. I just like the move he put on Fofana. It was a good move, but Fofana's so damn lazy. Like Spinazzola almost curled it in the square, but he's just always good, man. He's an unsung hero. I'm glad you brought him up. Unsung hero of this team for sure.
Even that, no one really stood out for me today from Napoli. Giovanni was an interesting one. Obviously,
Yeah,
you don't have Hoyland. Lukaku might not play a game for Napoli again, the way it's looking. Yet you're a bit forced to play him, and I thought he worked himself into the game, which is good for a younger player to do. He was never going to put a body across Pavlovic, get the ball at his feet, and play someone back. He needed a bit of separation. He didn't have that big one-on-one chance with Mike Maignan. He had one which Pavlovic covered, probably because he had a poor touch, which you can say was on him. But I did think he did well. But they did probably bring him off at the right time for Alisson Santos, who's been another exceptional youngster for Napoli
yep,
this season. Well, this few months really, because they bought him in January. But I
yeah.
think he's done really well. They'll probably retain him in the summer for I think 20 million, which would be a great get for them.
Yeah,
Always stood out for me. I thought
he looks good. He looks hungry. As I say, the positive standouts for Napoli today were Spinazzola, Santos, and then Politano to come in with a huge goal. Those were the big standouts. They're typical guys like McTominay. He wasn't bad. He was still putting in work. He was holding a play, doing what he could do, but he wasn't his typical all star self. Negatives for Napoli, I thought that Milankovic Savic was very unsure, a little bit shaky in himself. So I just want to bring that up because I think that was a signing that has not worked out for them. Has been great at Torino. I think he has been not good, if not kind of bad for Napoli since he's been there. I think he's been shaky. He's had a lot of missed coverages, a lot of simple balls that he's been beaten near post a lot. So Obviously, there wasn't too much for him to do today, but the couple times he tried to come out of his net today, he looked a little bit shaky. I just wanted to bring that up since he's definitely been a
Yeah,
signing
I
I
agree.
don't think looks good right now for Napoli. So,
Yeah, I think he had a bit of first half of the season, but he does have his weaknesses in his game. He's a bit temperamental. He can
mm-hmm.
come off his line a bit too much. We saw it today. Pavlovic probably could have scored from one of the early set pieces.
Yep.
His head was just a little bit wide
Yeah.
because he misjudged that.
Yeah, Mike Wazowski
And
was out of
especially,
net too, so he couldn't have defended it. Yeah, he was just way out of net and missed it. So yeah, you're right. If he would put it on net, it would have been a goal.
because it was a great game to watch. It was entertaining Serie A football. It was a great game. It'll have a massive effect on the league table.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it was a great game.
Let's.
It was a tactical masterclass from two outstanding coaches, Allegri and Conte. One of whom should get the national team job, hopefully. I know Conte
Yeah, I
spoke
mean,
after the game saying he wanted the job.
Conte did good. I mean, because he's definitely going to make the team immediately better. I think Allegri is a great tournament coach. I don't know how he is at building. Conte is going to build a group, build a unit. Allegri sometimes can take them over the edge and push towards towards an actual win. I don't know if Conte is the guy to bring them to the full precipice, but he's the best builder in a short amount of time too. So like if you want to build a really strong team and unit, Conte is going to be the guy. I I think Allegri usually is tactically great. I think that today he didn't really get it right just with selections. I thought tactics were fine. People can knock his formation all they want, but really it was just selection. Fulkrug and Kunku shouldn't have happened. Fofana shouldn't have been there either. And I thought that he should have pulled Salamakers earlier because I think he was just bad. He can't do anything about defense because Gabi's been injured, so he has to play who he has. So, it is what it is. But those couple guys I don't think were very good. So, but
Yeah,
that
that's all I have to say, really.
Yep. All right. Let's go to the league table. So it did have some shaking up. Inter stays ahead at 72, and as I was saying, the biggest thing is the points are 3 games apart. If Milan wins, they go to 66. They're still within 2 games, and they had the head-to-head over Inter, so they would, if they tied them, they would have the top spot. Napoli has 3 games to go. I mean, they have to make up 7 points, so you're counting on Inter to drop points 3 times, and for Napoli to get full points. That's a tough ask.
Conte can do it. Look,
Yeah.
Conte can do it. He can push his hand to do it. But it's more so I can't see Inter dropping the points, and I can see Napoli not making them up. I think Napoli can make them up.
They
I
could
think
win
Inter
out.
would just be
It's
too strong.
possible. Yeah, they could win out with some big performances. I could see McTominay come up with some big, but I'm with you. I don't think Inter is going to drop in 3 different games. I don't think they're going to drop that many points in 3 different games.
It's hard
What's
to see
more
Inter
interesting is the
one,
top
let
four.
alone three.
So what's more interesting is going to be the European spots. So top 4 and then top 6. So for fourth place, Como, Juve, and Roma are heavily in it. Atalanta's at dark horse with 5 points, but they're all tight. After that, it drops off a lot. But 58, 57, 54, 53. How do you think it's going to shake down in the end from fourth to seventh? I think those 4 teams
Right
are going to
now, I
finish.
think it will be. I think it'll be. I think it ends up Juve fourth, Roma, and it might sound crazy, but I see Atalanta dropping Roma for a Europa League spot. Just because a big loss from yesterday's game, sorry, was Mancini's going to be out injured. He's going to miss the rest of the month, reportedly.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll take him out. Pisa at home. And that's a game you can probably win. But Atalanta at home, it's going to be tough without him, especially when he's your lead centre back. And Bologna away will be a tough game. Tough game without him. Then you host Fiorentina, who look they're lower on the table, but they're not an easy team to beat by anyone's standards. They probably have the best striker in Serie A, and you're not going to have your best centre back. It's a tough ask. That could hurt them, especially when they've already been in bad form. If it'll be one thing if they're on a bit of a roll, and then that happens, you will be more understandable. But
Yeah.
the way things are shaping up, I can't see it. I can't see the season playing out for them. But they will back in Gasperini, the way it's looking. I think they will. They'll let him get his signings, but I think that will be his last chance because they invested big in January for him in the attack. They did decently okay for him in the summer. If he can't,
Mm-hmm.
he goes to this summer, they make more signings and he can't turn it around, then I think he's gone. Which I do think he's a good coach, but maybe it's not the right
Yeah.
project for him.
Gasparini is the perpetual almost guy. In my opinion, like he'll look great for a bit. His team will have flashes of brilliance. They'll look like they're really doing something great, and he'll always be competitive. He'll always bring a high flying team. He'll bring good, good football, but he always loses in the end. He never fully can pull it off, can never take it. And Roma is a team who's willing to invest at least enough, a lot more than Atalanta were willing to, who could do something. So I mean, he should be at least be trying to challenge for easily top four in next season, and trying to at least start off with staying close in this Scudetto race with Roma. But yeah, I actually think Roma is going to either sit where they're at, probably in about six right now, or I could see them dropping and swapping with Atalanta. The only difference is Atalanta has a very tough schedule. I think that they may have the toughest schedule of these four teams. So I personally would like Atalanta to climb as far as they can go. I would actually love it if they qualified fourth and then all the other teams drop down, personally, from me. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think they might jump Roma for sixth, but they could very well just stay here in seventh, just due to the sheer difficulty of their schedule. If you look at what they have coming up, they have Juve next, which will be a massive game with huge implications there. Then they have Roma, so literally their next two games are going to probably define their whole season. And then they have Cagliari at Cagliari, which is not an easy game because Cagliari is only 3 points above the drop zone. They got Genoa, who's been playing better. Then they have, let's see, there's Milan. And then, I mean, this is a bad schedule for Atalanta. Then they have Bologna, who's no pushover, and they round out with Fiorentina, who's been playing better now. So like that's a hard schedule. There's not a single easy
Yeah.
game in there.
But they can definitely do it in big games. I remember they took a point off. They've taken a point off Juventus this season. They had that big comeback win against Dortmund in the Champions League in the big game. They've taken points off Milan. They've already beaten Roma once. They can win tough games. It's
Yeah.
just
But
now at
can
this point
can
in the
they do it
season where
7 games in a row? That's where I think it's going to be very, very difficult. I mean, actually, what, 8 games? So I don't know. I don't know if they can do it with that many hard games. I would love to see Atalanta push, but I'd have to see what Roma's schedule looks like. But there's no way it's going to be harder than that. I mean, Roma's got Pisa, Atalanta, of course. They've got Bologna. They've got Fiorentina. Well, kind of similar so far. Parma,
that's
and then
the tough
Lazio.
one. That's the one I'm looking at. That's the tough one. That could ruin the season. You got the Derby de Rome, isn't it? I'm going blanking now. I'm going to sound stupid, but that's the one. That's the one where especially if you need 3 points before the final day,
Yeah, right.
and you have to play Lazio. The fans will turn out for that.
Yeah, they got
Probably even
Lazio, and
protest
they
them
round
again.
out with their last game is against Verona, who is just straight up relegated. They can't get out of it. So, yeah, they don't have as hard of a schedule. They still have tough games, but I'd say about 3 of them are should not be hard games. But so I think Roma, based off of that, as long as they don't totally crumble, should edge out Atalanta. I don't want them to. And you think Juve is going to clear Como? You think?
I think so. Yes. They're
All
too
right.
young of a team to not drop points for the rest of the season. I don't think they're too inexperienced.
Yeah, I mean they're two teams out in pretty good form. If you look at their form here, I mean it's the past 5 games: 4 wins for Como, one draw, 3 wins for Juve, 2 draws. It's pretty dang close. The only team on better form right now is Napoli with 5 wins straight. So yeah, if you look at this form too, something we talked about before the cast was the team that has the worst form of those top is Roma. Roma has just crashed out. 3 losses, 1 draw, and 1 win in the past 5. That's so many points drop. I mean, they were 100. There was such a deadlock for top four until the past 5 games. They just totally just got washed out there. But um, that's it. I guess we'll see what happens next week. I don't have any final thoughts. What about yourself?
Me neither. I think we're ready to wrap it up.
Alrighty. Well, thank you for joining me tonight, Marcus. And as always, Forza Calcio. Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.